We are facing a totally mind-bending technological paradox right now. The seemingly infinite internet that you and I use every single day, well, it's actually running dry. Welcome to The Explainer.
Okay, I know exactly what you're thinking. How on earth can you run out of something that is essentially infinite? But see, I don't mean we're out of physical fiber optic cables or server space or cloud storage. What we are running out of is human-created content. I mean every tweet, every article, every single forum post. And this massive shortage is creating an unprecedented roadblock for the entire next generation of artificial intelligence.
And look, this isn't just science fiction. Listen to this staggering warning from Stanford's 2026 AI Index report. They state, public data for training large AI models could be exhausted as soon as this year. This wild claim is completely grounded in hard, undeniable data. AI has already consumed the vast majority of human history's online output. We're literally talking about the entire written output of human civilization that exists online. It's read the whole shebang, and the craziest part? It is still incredibly hungry.
Section 1. The hunger. Feeding the machine. Let's dive into just how massive this data appetite really is.
15 trillion. I want you to just let that number sink in for a second. The largest AI training datasets in 2026 contain over 15 trillion tokens. When these massive models are trained, they aren't just skimming a couple of textbooks. They are consuming trillions of words from Wikipedia, news archives, and digitized books. Honestly, AI acts kind of like the Genghis Khan of information. It's swept across the digital world, conquered every single source of text it could find, and now it's just looking around asking, so, what else have you got? To really put that insane scale into perspective, think about our own biological limits. If you sat down and read 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, at a really solid pace, it would take you over 32 years of nonstop reading just to get through 1 trillion words. But for AI, it processes 15 trillion tokens instantly. And it doesn't just read them once, right? It processes them over and over and over again, finding deeper patterns with every single pass. The core of the problem we're dealing with here is pure exponential growth. GPT-3 needed about 500 billion tokens. GPT-4, that bumped it up to several trillion. And future models are going to demand tens of trillions, maybe even hundreds of trillions of tokens. This massive appetite is vastly outpacing the rate at which you, me, and the rest of humanity are actually writing and uploading new text. Basically, we literally just can't type fast enough.
Which brings us to Section 2, the data wall, hitting the ceiling.
Because of this invisible wall, real-world panic is definitely setting in across the tech world. Companies are striking these massive, previously unheard-of deals, like paying Reddit $60 million a year literally just for access to user posts. They're also facing massive industry-shaking copyright lawsuits from the New York Times, Getty Images, and independent creators who never consented to their work being used. And perhaps most worryingly for the tech itself, some developers are getting so desperate, they're resorting to scraping low-quality machine-translated junk text just to keep feeding the models. But as you know, you simply can't build a genius by feeding it junk food. Section 3. The twist. AI teaching AI. So how are they bypassing this wall? Enter the industry's secret weapon, synthetic data. This is simply artificial information generated by an AI, which is then used to train a completely different AI. The teacher is artificial and the student is artificial. Humans aren't even in the loop. And this isn't just some quirky science experiment anymore. It's already a booming $510 million industry, and it's growing at a massive 39% per year. And we've actually seen this work in reality. Take DeepMind's AlphaGo, an AI built to play the wildly complex board game, Go. Step 1. It learned by observing humans. Pretty standard. But step 2, it shifted gears and played millions of games against itself, essentially acting as its own sparring partner. Then, step 3, it discovered the legendary move 37 in a match against the world champion. It was a move so unexpected, so entirely unprecedented in human history, that commentators actually thought the machine had broken. But it hadn't. It had simply learned something entirely new by teaching itself. Because of mind-blowing successes like AlphaGo, the landscape is shifting incredibly fast. Gartner actually predicts that by the end of 2026, synthetic data will make up a massive 75% of AI pipelines, compared to just 25% real human data. I mean, it's the perfect bypass. You can't sue an AI for copyright over data it invented itself, and synthetic data doesn't contain any private human information. It looks like an absolute miracle solution. But there's always a catch. Section 4, the catch, the mirror problem.
To really understand the risk here, think about making a photocopy. Step 1, you start with a crisp, clear, original document. Step 2, you make a photocopy of that photocopy. Step 3, you do it again and again and again. Eventually, the information completely degrades, and you are left with this unrecognizable gray blur. Well, that is exactly what happens when digital information loops back on itself over and over without any fresh outside input. In the AI world, researchers call that gray blur model collapse. This happens when AI models trained on AI-generated output slowly forget rare patterns, amplify their own self-reinforcing errors, and eventually just produce total gibberish. See, when AI generates data, it tends to favor the most common patterns, basically the middle of the bell curve. If you keep training new models on that specific output, the AI starts to forget the rare, diverse, weird outliers of human language. It literally forgets what makes data rich in the first place.
And guys, this isn't just theoretical fear-mongering. A dramatic 2024 study published in the journal Nature showed exactly this. Generation 1 of their AI model produced clear, normal, human-like text. But as it trained on its own outputs, by Generation 3, they saw a total loss of rare words and uncommon sentence structures. And by Generation 5, the model degenerated into complete, repetitive, nonsensical gibberish, meaning itself just completely vanished. It poses this deeply eerie, almost philosophical risk. An AI looking at another AI, seeing only itself and fully believing it's seeing the whole world. If a teacher AI has a flawed statistical pattern or some sort of data blind spot, and the student AI learns exclusively from it, that error just gets absorbed and magnified. Without human grounding, the AI just spirals endlessly into its own reflection. So how do we fix it? Section 5. The future, a balanced ecosystem. The ultimate fix researchers are landing on is all about careful curation in mixing their sources. It turns out that for rigid, rule-based tasks like math and logic, synthetic data is actually the absolute best source. But for general language and creativity, you absolutely must rely on messy, real, diverse human data to avoid model collapse. And for quality control, we now have AI supervision, essentially models acting as editors to catch the hallucinations of other models. It's becoming a very finely tuned balancing act. So the solution isn't entirely machine-made after all. As researchers beautifully put it, we're not running out of internet, we're building a new kind of internet, with humans still in the essential role of providing the ground truth. The chain of knowledge now has a link that isn't human. The student is out there writing its own textbooks, but humanity, with all our wonderful, unpredictable intelligence, remains the essential anchor of truth that prevents that mirror from becoming the whole world. So, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on today. Does the idea of AI teaching AI excite you, or does it make you a little nervous? Because while AI is rapidly learning to teach itself, ultimately, who writes the first lesson? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.